Flagship Android phone battery capacities have seriously increased recently, with 7,000 plus milliamp hours being the new standard. But are they optimized well enough to be able to outlast the latest iPhone in this extremely detailed 100 to 0% battery life drain test? All phones have been set to the exact same brightness level using a lux meter. They're all sitting on 100% battery health. They've all been updated to their latest available software updates at the time of making this video. They're all SIM-free and only connected via Wi-Fi. They're all using 120Hz LTPO displays, except the RedMagic, which has 144Hz dynamic refresh rate, the iQOO, which has 144Hz LTPO, and while the ONEPLUS can reach 165Hz, its LTPO range is only up to 120. They've also all been set to their native screen resolutions. Will these massive battery sizes spark a new era for flagship Android screen on time? Or will the iPhone's incredible optimizations leave them in the dust again? This is Tech Nick, and without further ado, let's find out. We're going to start things off by making sure they're all sitting at 100%, and they all are. They've actually all been plugged on charge for a couple hours now, so they've been topped up at 100% for a bit. Now we're going to be using an emissivity level of 0.5 on my infrared heat gun, since it's the most accurate for electronic devices, and our room temperature is sitting at around 18.5 degrees Celsius. We've had the AC on for hours before, and we'll run it throughout the test as well. Now, it's not really relevant, but if you're interested in charging temps, the OnePlus actually has the hottest charging temp while sitting idle, and the Samsung has the coolest. Now, hitting start on that start timer phone on the right-hand side, you'll notice a couple things on the screen, especially if you're new to the channel. It might be a little bit overwhelming. So above the timer phone on the right, you'll see the time interval. Now, the percentages above each device, below the branding of each device, is in direct relation to that time interval at the top right corner. It's not in real time. So as you can see right now, we just hit the 30-minute mark interval, and they'll all stay at those percentages between 30 minutes and 1 hour because the last interval was 30 minutes. All of them are on 100%, all the new Android flagship devices. The Samsung is on 98%, the iPhone's on 95%. Now, the temperatures below the battery percentages are also in relation to that time interval, and we check them at each time interval. And so far, the Samsung was the coolest and the iPhone was the hottest. They'll change at each interval, but then once we get the highest peak from each phone, it'll be locked in. So right now, the highest peak is on the iPhone with 30 degrees Celsius, and the coolest is on the Samsung with 23. But the hottest interval was the OPPO, and the coolest interval was the iPhone, of course. And if you are a little bit rusty on specs at the bottom of each device, I do have a bit of specs over there so that you can gawk your eyes at them, as well as their battery capacities, of course. And at the bottom right-hand corner, we do have the current app that we're in. So right now we're in the settings app, and we can check battery percentage. And finally, we can actually check battery percentage within settings on an iPhone with iOS 26, of course. But now iOS 26.0.1 did quite well for the first time I tested it 2 months ago. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with iOS 26.1. And you got to remember that, I wanted to take a bit of a December break. So I did film this near the start of December. So I might be running one generation behind in terms of iOS updates. But these are the latest updates for all of these phones at the time of me making this video. We just hit that 2-hour mark interval. We have 93 on the OnePlus, 94 on the OPPO, which has a slightly larger battery, 93 on the Vivo, which has a much smaller battery than the OnePlus, 95 on the iQOO, which is leading the pack alongside the RedMagic 11 Pro with the same 95%, but the iQOO has a much smaller battery than the RedMagic. And the Samsung is sitting on 88%, ahead of the iPhone, which is now on 83% after the 2 hours and 30-minute mark interval. Now, just some food for thought over here. All of these phones are global. They're all running global software. But it is worth mentioning that the Vivo X300 Pro that I have is the European unit, so its battery capacity sits at 5,440 milliamp hours. The rest of the world gets a 6,510 milliamp hour cell. It sucks that this is region dependent because none of the other phones over here are region dependent, and they all offer the same battery sizes no matter where you buy them. We'll still get a milliamp hour per minute efficiency reading for the Vivo though, just like we will for the rest of them. And we'll use that to calculate how much screen on time it would have gotten if it did have a larger battery at the end of this video, so be sure to stick around. It's also worth mentioning that I have the nano SIM version of the iPhone, just like most of the world, but again, its milliamp hour per minute efficiency reading should be the same regardless of which version you get. Now we just hit the 3 hour 30-minute mark interval. We have 87 on the OnePlus, which is still trailing the OPPO with 88, 84 on the Vivo, 88 matching the OPPO is the iQOO, which is matching the RedMagic, also with 88, 80% on the Samsung, 78 on the iPhone, so the gap between the Samsung and the iPhone is getting a little bit smaller now.